Hello and welcome to DayOne, a podcast by and for Cape Town to help better understand and guide the ways water flows through our city. My name's Nella Etkind and I'll be your host. This is the sound of the Black River between Mowbray and Pinelands, just north of Rappenberg Road Bridge as it weaves through a large flock of flamingos. Not far from here, in the middle of the river, floats a mysterious sculpture of a lady dressed in Victorian attire, standing on a small rowboat. She appears in the same spot each year and is known as the Lady of the Black River. The Black River joins the Liesbeek and Elsie's Kraal rivers to Salt River. It rises in Ardennes Gardens and flows underground, initially beneath the main road and the railway line, before continuing through Claremont and Rondebosch, and then through Mowbray, Observatory, Maitland and Salt River, before finally reaching the ocean. The Black River is severely polluted. Residents of Hazendal in Cape Town's southern suburbs are raising a stink about the dirty water into the Black River, which runs between their houses and the N2. They say it's causing an abnormal amount of flies, mosquitoes, and cockroaches in their homes. Experts in river health suspect there could be sewage running in the Black River. Look out, what ends up in the rivers eventually finds its way back to us in the interconnected ways that water flows in our city. In this time of drought, access to clean, safe water is now more than ever an absolute necessity. From washing our hands, bodies, and clothes, to our homes, the food we eat, and the dishes we cook with, water plays a key role in hygiene and sanitation, and therefore is the foundation of our health. In this episode, we'll learn about the connections between river health and community health, as well as tips for safely using grey water from retired senior lecturer in community health at Rhodes University, Joe Barnes. We'll get a glimpse into the current state of the country's Department of Water and Sanitation from Taryn Pereira, a researcher with the Environmental Monitoring Group. We'll meet a group of youth leaders from the children's movement empowering their peers with innovative practices and personal hygiene. And we'll be reminded of why health in drought is no laughing matter through a uniquely made for DayOne comedy sketch from
the Long Shots improvised comedy troupe here in Cape Town.
Rivers are freshwater ecosystems that provide a valuable natural resource. Not only do they feed dams, but they also offer economic, aesthetic, spiritual, cultural, and recreational value. Our city's design reveals a devaluing of rivers. Such is the case with the cities and rivers nationwide, largely due to a variety of challenges that are practical, social, economic, and institutional. River health is directly linked to community health, but how? To answer these questions, we go now to Joe Barnes.
My name is Joe Barnes. I'm an epidemiologist and I'm retired now, but I had been a senior lecturer at the medical school at University of Stellenbosch, and my speciality is the broader field of community health. My research has encompassed a whole lot of issues about environmental health and particularly waterborne diseases, and sanitation, which has got an enormous impact on waterborne diseases. I also do a lot of work on microbiological quality of irrigation water and river health.
It turns out the very system that keeps our cities hygienic is actually using and abusing our rivers.
South African rivers are in a dreadful state. There is unfortunately no other word for it because they are used as sewage ditches. A lot of sewage that reaches the sewage treatment works, the works over-flooded because they're not of big enough capacity to serve the town. They haven't been upgraded for decades. So much of the sewage that flows in simply badly treated or totally untreated flows out at the other end. All sewage treatment works, the resultant cleaned up water, the works is designed to take that to the nearest river. So when the works fail, the rivers are desperately dirty. In many areas, wherever there's an overflowing drain, high income or low income area, when the drains overflow, they flow to the closest stormwater drain in the street, and that is designed to flow to the closest river.
The burden on sanitation infrastructure comes from all the people living in the city, but river pollution has a lot to do with the lack of proper sanitation infrastructure, particularly in low-income areas. One extreme example is the Kumape family, who are currently battling a legal case after their son, Michael, drowned in a pit toilet at his school. Let's offer a moment of silence for the Kumape family. When it comes to humans, we know there are various ways to measure our health, like using a thermometer to check our temperature or taking blood samples to test anything unusual. But how do we measure the health of a river?
I don't know if you're familiar with how we measure sewage in a river, but we measure an organism called E. coli. Months ago, we looked at one of the little rivers running through Stellenbosch, running past the informal settlement there. Kaimandi and Nkanini, the two of them are next to one another. There's a river that runs past there that's called the Prankenburg River. It joins the Eerste River. It's a tributary. We actually went up the nature reserve and took some water there in the pristine area. There were 2 E. coli per 100 milliliters of water, which is extremely low. It's possibly a bird or a buck or something like that. Past Kaimandi and Nkanini, it was 6.5 million per 100 milliliters of water. It's higher than raw sewage. How will we bring 6.5 million down to zero? To drinking water standards is zero. It is physically possible, but at massive cost. So we are polluting our potential drinking water sources when disaster strikes. It would have been so much easier if we could take the surface water, no drilling, no pumping of that sort deep down into the earth. But we have polluted it so much that we are, in a way, written off our rivers, which is extremely short-sighted, because if the sewage department are not doing their jobs, they have now knocked a big hole in the budget of the water procurement people.
If the current system of governing water and sanitation is not working, what might an alternative look like? To explore one such alternative, Bahans coordinated a project through Stellenbosch University.
I designed and ran a hygiene and sanitation project in a settlement outside Stellenbosch, and shown that with the proper attention to detail and understanding how the system works, you can actually get a huge difference in that community.
The challenge in these informal settlements was that the waterborne toilets used by a number of the households would block and overflow through the community and down into the river. The intervention project focused on 3 areas. 1, public education.
Little messages about not throwing things in the stormwater drain, not throwing inappropriate things down the toilet. We had that message door to door that we handed out with a pamphlet that we stuck on the wall in isiXhosa to say, with a picture for those who can't read.
2, rotating responsibility for the monitoring and maintenance.
1 family per month for the 12 months were duly elected, and for that month they received the cleaning materials that the municipality would have used to clean the toilet, and they were the supervisors for the month.
And 3, certified training related to the sanitation system's upkeep.
The Department of Labour came and trained us to the first level of plumbing certificate, bricklaying certificate. We had various teams, and they repaired the toilet blocks for us as part of their practical experience. They got a certificate, and each and every one of them got a job after that. The pollution levels in the river went right down. 2 months after the municipality took over, it shot right back up to where it was.
It was a short-term project that showed some of the potential in community-led sanitation governance. This year, Cape Townians managed to cut their water consumption drastically for a while, partly by reusing grey water. This is a really important form of water conservation, and to clear up any grey areas around the do's and don'ts, we bring you some tips on reusing grey water safely.
Now, let me just first of all start and define what grey water means. Technically, it means all the water that has been used for some purpose in the house before, but that does not contain toilet waste. But the 2 countries who far and away ahead of us when it comes to safe reuse of grey water Australia and America actually define grey water as also excluding the kitchen sink because it contains such a large amount of food waste and fats and oils and detergents. Leave that in a bucket and after 24 hours it stinks to high heaven because of the high bloom of unwanted organisms in there. We're talking about the water from baths and showers, and in some cases, if you use the right soaps, from the washing machine as well. So when I say grey water coming from the shower and the basin, it depends on what you rinsed in there. This grey water thing works well for people with a fair amount of finances behind them. In a dense settlement, there's no grey water, it's all black. Because it is so dirty around there and they have to reuse water. So they do reuse water, but the remains at the end are so dirty that you can classify it as black. And you should not use that on any edible produce and places where children play. The municipality is in a bind. They cannot force you to use grey water, because then if they do that, they take any legal consequences if the people get ill. So they can encourage it. If they encourage it with too much detail and the people don't follow the detail, they still make themselves vicariously liable, as they say. So they keep on encouraging and stopping short of giving enough information for people to run it safely.
If we look back to what we've learned from Joe Barnes, starting with the inadequate sanitation infrastructure and the interconnectedness with river health, a case study of a community-led sanitation system and the municipality's neglected opportunity to scale up the safe reuse of grey water, we can begin to see how important water governance is to water justice. Officially, this country's water is governed by the National Department of Water and Sanitation. To get a glimpse into the current state of this department and the broader role of governance in mediating access to water, we go now to Taryn Pereira, a researcher with the Environmental Monitoring Group, who's engaged with the department often through her work.
We are in a true drought, as in rainfall has been much lower from 2015, 2016, 2017 than in an average year. So we have this true scarcity, but then there's also the scarcity or the pressure on water that comes from poor governance. When you've got on the one hand as a municipality this need to make money off of water, on the other hand you've got the custodians of the water utterly failing in their role as custodians, a drought on top of that governance failure has resulted in this water crisis. So in a rural area you have direct water scarcity. When the dams get empty or the rivers go dry, you cannot go and collect that water anymore. But in a city, the scarcity is secondary. It's mediated via the municipality that makes decisions about how to allocate this scarce resource throughout the citizens and businesses and different sectors of a city. And so someone living in a household in Cape Town, you have very little control over the source of your water, but it's all mediated to you via these decision makers. And the way that water governance works in South Africa is that we have a Department of Water and Sanitation, our national department, which has a minister. They're in charge of bulk water. They're in charge of water resources, in other words, the rivers, the dams. It's a public good. They have the responsibility and the custodianship of that water. And they then are supposed to protect it, make sure it's not polluted, make sure it's not just being over-extracted. There's a whole host of relationships around who gets to use that water and for what. There's a cost involved for the city to purchase bulk water, and then it's the city or the municipality's responsibility to clean that water, store it within their city, and get it from storage to households.
In 2017, the South African Water Caucus, of which the Environmental Monitoring Group is a member, published the South African Water Caucus report on the state of the national government's Department of Water and Sanitation.
The soundbite version of the state of the Department of Water and Sanitation is that it's in a state of utter disarray, chaos, corruption, mismanagement, anything you can imagine. It's a report that you can find on the EMG website that really details using only publicly available information. So going through parliamentary portfolio committee reports and minutes of meetings and so on, we've tracked how the vacancy rate in the department is incredibly high. In the Eastern Cape, a huge tender was awarded to install toilets, and the money was spent by the department and not a single toilet has been installed. I mean, there are many, many, many stories, but essentially that department is highly dysfunctional.
The About Us section on the website of the Department of Water and Sanitation highlights the department's goals to ensure that all South Africans gain access to clean water and dignified sanitation. To achieve this, will greater efforts be needed within certain populations? For example, are the health impacts in the current drought experienced equally across the city?
The impact of water scarcity is carried disproportionately by women, and this is because women play the caring role in a home. This is a generalization. There are some men who do this, but as a general rule, women are the ones carrying the burden of care in domestic settings and also, in fact, in work settings. There's a grouping of community-based activists forming now that have called themselves Women in Drought, mostly women domestic workers who share their experience of working in households where their employers are expecting them to continue to keep everything as clean, to continue to keep the laundry and the number of loads of laundry exactly the same, but just to somehow save water while doing that. So these are the kinds of invisible impacts of the drought when we're not thinking about what does it actually mean for people in households and in positions of not having the power necessarily to say, that's crazy, I can't wash that amount of clothes using my hands. Get a grip.
Water is life. Sanitation is dignity. This is the motto of the Department of Water and Sanitation. Based on what we've heard so far in this episode, we have quite a way to go before dignity reaches everyone. Speaking of different experiences of health in drought, have you seen the public toilet signs which say, if it's yellow, let it mellow, etc., etc.? How might women be feeling about the complete absence of any instructions about what to do if it's red?
So my friend was asking me this question in a recent WhatsApp chat about, if it's yellow, you let it mellow. If it's brown, you flush it down. But what do you do if it's red? And then she said, I've got it. I've got the only thing I can do. I'm going to tweet Helen Ziller, the head of the DA, to ask her, in the drought, Helen, if it's red, what do I do? It's one of these like gendered things about water that is invisible and not really part of thinking around water and water scarcity.
The Department of Water and Sanitation is closely linked to the overall well-being of everyone. When a government department such as this is not working to fulfill its own mission, what can be done to transform it? And what new form could water governance take?
What we want to see as civil society is water, which is a public resource, being well managed by our elected government. We absolutely do not want to see water services outsourced. Things so often get polarized, and when everyone's feeling so stressed, it's a default mode to be highly critical of government and to say how much they've failed us. I think that honestly, those who are in positions of power in this drought don't really know what to do. Like, it's an unprecedented crisis. And when you're a politically elected leader, I think it's really hard to admit that you don't know what to do because that's seen as a sign of weakness. But for many of us, if someone in a position of power said, I don't really know what to do and I'd like to invite a wide group of people to help with this decision, someone saying, I don't know what to do for us would be like, wow, that's a really amazing leader. And I just wish we would see something like that. Participatory democracy in the water sector, meaning that we have governmental departments that are open to listening to citizens and having participatory processes for really being custodians in the true sense of caring for water, and that includes caring for the people who need water to live a good life.
We move now from exploring the state of the country's officially elected water custodians, the Department of Water and Sanitation, to inquiring into the possibility of children being custodians of water and health in their own communities. The Children's Movement is a non-profit organization started in 1983 to support children in organizing themselves into a movement based on child-led community groups that help build and sustain a better world for children. With its head office in Rylands, Cape Town, the organization also provides equipment and training to support the movement. Today, the organization has 100 children's groups and more than 5,000 members between 7 to 14 years of age nationally. We were fortunate enough to meet with 7 of its Cape Town-based child leaders.
My name is Ziana. I'm from Guguletu and I'm from Masakane group. I have 9 years in the program.
My name is Batlabonge Genu. I'm from Masakane Group, from New Cross Road, and it's been 9 years in the organization.
Igama lami ndingubanele. Ndisuke Masakane Group. Ndihlala eNew Cross Road. Ndina 5 years egroupini apha.
My name is Rizzo van Zyl. I'm from a Duplessis group. I'm from Woodlands.
My name is Kelly Ann. I'm from Mitchell's Plain, 19 Beacon High School, and I'm 4 years in the organization.
Oh, my name is Debu from Kukuletu. I'm from Mastemane group. I have 8 years in this group.
My name is Antla. My surname is Makyatang. I live in New Cross Road. I've been 3 years in this job. I'm in Masakane group. I'm from Nyanga.
The children's movement is centered around the principles of respect for oneself and others.
We just help children. We gather small children and then we clean their nails, their hair. We teach them how to read. We help them with their workshops. Like, we don't stop. We just continue until they grow up. When they speak to us, it's easier because, like, Kellen can show the emotion that she has to me, and I will understand because we are both teenagers. So we have same challenges along the way because as a teenager, there are a lot of challenges when you grow up.
The children's movement is also centered on the principle of respecting the environment.
The main focus is reuse, reduce, and recycle. Reuse is our pads. That's a reusable pad, like, because there's a lot of landfills. We're trying to minimize that. We're trying to help other girls that don't have access to pads. Now we're trying our own reusable pads. Met die mini-girl child movement. Hy het ons ingekorreld om vir ander girls te help om verder te gaan om in hulle menstruation, hulle periods te deel. Waar die boys in het om te help hulle, om vir hulle te kry hulle verstanding om te weet hoe gaan het met girls menstruation.
We're learning to help other children, starting to sew and to keep children off the roads instead of going into gangsterism.
En ons besig met die sip wat ons maak. Ons as 'n girl, die committee girls het gegaan na die plek toe waar ons lekker sip maak. Wat ons perspectief gewys het, ons het gedink is like machinery werk en jy moet 'n klompie goed te doen, maar die eindelike ry waar ons die sip maak is natural resources. Ons sip is om vir ons munisipaliteit buite te sit. Like, ek dan kan hulle na ons toe kom, ons sal self die sip maak met ons eie.
And our water bottles, the squeezy bottles, is if your hands is dirty, then you can wash your hands.
Squeezy bottle, ibhotile esisebenzisa masi save amanzi. Ibhotile esisebenzisa masi save amanzi.
Okay, what Banele said, they are making the squeezy bottle to save water. At some point, when you wash hands, when you let the tap run, there are a lot of liters that get wasted at that moment while you're still putting a soap on your hands. So the squeeze bottle helps in points like that. You first put the soap and then you release the water in your pipe. It doesn't even take a liter or close to half a liter.
The reason why we think we want to do this is to help our country and make our country clean and our planet.
We asked the group about their experiences of the water crisis. Their responses offer some insight into the links between drought and health.
People are now having skin problems because of the water crisis. The water that we drink, it's no longer the healthy water that we used to drink because it's mixed with the dirty things inside the dam because the water levels are going down.
Nandithi akumandanga ubona omnye umuntu egula ngalamanzi. Ewe asinawo amanzi and asikayamkeli le nto yoba asinamanzi and asikwazi uyamkela ngoba sesiqhele ufumana amanzi ama-clean. And then ke ngoku la manzi asuke amadamini amdaka awaklinwanga, akliniwe ndingatsho but awaklinwanga kusuke ukungcola oku kukhoyo kula manzi ayagulisa, siphuma amaqhakuva, abanye baphuma i-chicken pox, like akukho right.
Banela was saying that she does not like the water experience because there are people that get sick because of this thing. And also some get runny tummy, some get skin rash, skin problem.
In the face of these challenges, members from the children's movement are leading by example by keeping focused on the 3 core principles that can help build a better future, not just for children, but for all of us.
Respect yourself, respect others, and respect the environment.
For more information about the children's movement, visit childrensmovement.org.za. As the child leaders we just heard from pointed out, the health risks that arise from polluted water or lack of access to water deserve serious consideration. To remind us how health in drought is no laughing matter, we go now to a uniquely made for DayOne comedy sketch from
the Long Shots improvised comedy troupe here in Cape Town.
Hi there, we are the Long Shots improvised comedy troupe. Yay! Everybody's here. We perform improvised comedy once a week on Mondays at obviously Armchair. And if you're ever in the area in Observatory, you should come and check us out. Also, enjoy this podcast where we improvise about environmental issues.
Health.
Mary, can you step into my office, please? Mary, we've had a few complaints from the other office members about certain physical things that you're bringing into the office on your person, and we need to have a little chat, you and I and Dr. Withers over here. She's a professional health practitioner. And first off, can you please just take that mask away from your mouth and speak to us?
Yes, Mary, I don't see the use of that. Please, speak to us.
It's just that you guys don't understand how hard it's been for me lately. It used to be like when I was at preschool, they drilled into me, you flush and then you wash your hands. It's just been a disruption in my routine that I can no longer flush and then wash my hands. I have to let it mellow and use hand sanitizer.
So what you're saying, Mary, is that basically you're blaming the childhood brainwashing of your very own family into regular flushing. Mary, this is a common problem. Thank you for coming forward.
It's just that the guilt is absolutely crippling. It's so crippling. I don't flush and wash my hands straight afterwards anymore.
Mary,
Kix has run out of hand sanitizer and wet wipes.
Mary, is it guilt or shame? Are you really just embarrassed?
I no longer caress the face of my lover.
We understand, Mary. So we have created a safe group for you, and we're going to be bringing in other members of the office now into the room. You can enter, everybody, and they're going to come in now, and they're going to just give a little bit of an antidote on different ways they can support you in the office. We got Craig over here. How are you doing, Craig?
How's it? Good to be here.
Shake hands, Craig. We know that no one's washing now.
Sorry, man. It's just manners, eh?
This is no time to remember manners.
Well, apparently not, but my mom taught me well, and I was told to shake hands, so sorry if it offends people, all right?
Nosipo, you look like you have something on your mind.
I have a lot on my mind and a lot on my hands as well. My hands are very gross, I'm proud to say, for a month now. I haven't showered. I have a layer of gunk on my hands.
What is that under your fingernails?
That is a live rabbit.
Oh my God.
That's a live rabbit under my fingernails.
This is This is the problem, guys. While we're encouraging people not to take 5-hour, 20 million liter baths, we do want you to wash your hands. It's really about a half a cup of water, a little bit of soap. Is that so hard?
Can I just say something? I've come up with this ingenious way of keeping my hands like semi-clean. What I basically do is I take a sponge, like the dishwashing sponges. You put it in a little margarine tub, all right? And you fill that with like a little bit of water. Like you can even buy a bottle from the shop, put it in there, and you squirt a bit of soap in there, and then you just use that sponge. It gets a bit moldy, it gets a bit dirty, but it's a little bit of moisture. Keeps the cells going, works like a charm.
Wow, thank you, Craig. Thank you so much. Paul over here, you've been giving out sanitizer and all sorts of different things to people.
Yes, I feel like this is really an opportunity that we have here to help our fellow man. We spend so much time caught up in our own lives and concerned with our own troubles and woes, and really, what's little hand sanitizer between friends? I've been stocking up on 20-litre containers from Macro, and I'm just finally glad I have an opportunity to use it, quite frankly.
Absolutely. See, Mary, you've got support left, right, and centre. Besides Nosipo, there's people here that are really willing and are able to do something. Nosipo, carry on not showering, but wash the good bits.
The rabbits have gotten out from underneath my fingernails.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. I've set them free.
I think one is chewing my toenail right now.
It's very hungry. I haven't fed it in days.
Better wash those toenails with just that tiny bit of water.
We see Mary back at home with her spouse. Babe?
So, babe, this is how it works. You just take a margarine tub and you put...
I won't do it.
No, but you have to do it.
Babe, you've been hanging out with those heathens at work again.
Don't you want to touch me again?
No, I don't want to touch you again. Not at least you've taken 4 showers a day like we agreed upon in our vows, remember? Water is wonderful. That's what we said in our vows.
I will always love you as long as you're clean.
Okay, well, I'm going to unzip this plastic sheath that separates the two of us. There you go. That was me unzipping it. But I'm not going to take off these gloves, and I'm not going to take off the sanitary suit until you agree to start using water like a normal person again.
Remember, Mary. Remember, refrain. Don't fall into the darkness of your husband's ways.
Look, Mary, I'm turning on a tap for no reason. No! Come on, Mary.
No!
This is what bonded us.
I downloaded a song that's only 90 seconds long so that I know how long I've been showering for.
Are you happy like that, babe? Is that what you want? Fine, I'll turn off the shower. I'll turn off the tap. Maybe the garden hose pipe as well. I've unplugged it. Is this what you want?
If
Waterless
it means
household?
saving the planet, then yes!
Fine. Maybe I'll just take our ultra-clean children and leave. They've been in the bath this entire time.
I filled the bath with grey water that I stored in my tank for 3 days.
Who are you? Children! Let's go! We're leaving! Your mother's filthy!
We're staying here.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna stay with Mom, and we've adapted everything to be able to be water warriors. Hey, Chili!
Yeah, water warriors! I say you've brainwashed them, and apparently washing isn't a thing you do anymore.
As soon as you get out the bath, kids, I want you to go paint the door to the compost toilet.
Fine. Yeah! I'm taking my hand sanitizer and leaving. You'll miss me when I'm gone.
You just walk out that door.
Oh, let me just wash my feet before I go outside, and then I will walk out that door.
Ah, joke's on you. You're washing your feet with Provac. I can use that water again.
Oh, you are a dark person indeed. Fine, I'm leaving.
You can find us on Facebook at the Longshots Improv Comedy Troupe or on Instagram at Longshots Improv. And if you want to come and do improv, we do classes every Thursday night at the Ops Community Centre. So drop us a message on any of our social media things or send us a message at info@longshotsimprov.co.za. Whoop-de-boo.
As we heard, the challenges that can arise in Cape Town's drought can affect your physical health. but also the health of your relationships, your home, your workplace, and a variety of aspects that contribute to your overall state of well-being.
I used to go now, this river's here, the Lisbeek Park side. I had an Alsatian dog, Tessa, and a short pants with long deep pockets. Then I had like a net and a scoop. And the goldfish I catch, I put them in the pockets because they're in the water with me. And the dog is all, and on the way up I sold them 20 cents each. There used to be zebrafish here too. Now here's mainly catfish here, trout, carp, and some tilapia.
As we've learned, the polluted state of the Black River is a long and intertwined story between river systems and the city. With an increasingly dense urban population, decades of inadequate and unequal sanitation infrastructure, and competing interests from a variety of stakeholders, one thing that's clear is a need for reimagining our relationships to each other, to our systems of governance, and our rivers. If you were elected to not only lead, but redesign a department for the governance of dignified water and sanitation for all, what would you do? To share your visions, questions, and suggestions, please contact us at www.dayonewater.wordpress.com.